Good morning. Now today I want to talk about Elrond. Now it's fair to say in the Rings of Power we are seeing a different Elrond to the one portrayed in the movies and in the books that the movies are based on. Obviously, like with Galadriel, any actor stepping into that role is stepping into a role that has been widely received across the world by a high profile actor. In the particular case of Elrond, Hugo Weaving. And our actor, I can't remember his name, apologies, that's Robert Alamo or something along those lines, played young Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. It is quite an epic role. It's a big role. And now that we've had 3 episodes of The Rings of Power, I think it's the right time to make a video about it and to talk about it a little bit. Now, my criticisms with the first episode and criticisms I've noticed be said about Elrond seems to be sort of a lack of disrespect to his part in the history of Middle-earth and his sort of over familiarity towards Galadriel, which is a bit weird. I mean, there's a lot of context to take on board about that, but mostly I have no issue with him going to Khazad-dûm. Mainly talking to my fellow sort of podcasters about the Rings of Power. I sort of said earlier today, one of the things we should bear in mind is when Gandalf takes the dwarves to Rivendell in The Hobbit, it's because Elrond is one of the few living people that know about dwarvish runes and can read the map for the Lonely Mountain for Erebor. And we have to accept or sort of enjoy Elrond's journey to Khazad-dûm, his time there, and whatever we get to see in the rest of season 1 of The Rings of Power of his relationship with the dwarves. Because dwarves do not give away their secrets easily. So for Elrond to have the knowledge he has of dwarvish runes means he has to be in a high level of trust, which I think we've seen some of. I mean, I do have issues with the fact that he tricks his way into Khazad-dûm and that dwarves tend not to forget things like being tricked or forget their grudges. That's something I think has to rest at the hands of the people writing Rings of Power. That's another video. I want to focus on Elrond and in episode 3 going to Numenor and learning some of the backstory for Numenor. It's not a lot of detail spent on the fact that Elrond's brother Elros is the first king of Numenor. Again, going back to episode 1, there's some there's some racism shown by the elven lords of Lindon towards Elrond. Now it serves a purpose because they obviously discuss, or it's implied they discuss sending Elrond with Celebrimbor to Eriador for the secret project, It's just the way it's presented is this racist angle that he's not an elven lord. Let's just go through some of Elrond's pedigree. Now, Elrond and Elros are half-elven princes of Beleriand, which is from the First Age. Born in Arvenian on the coast of Beleriand in 442 of the First Age of the Sun. Elrond and Elros were the twin sons of Elendil and Elwing. Now, again, let's stop there. Who are Elendil and Elwing? Well, Elendil is the half-elven dragon slayer. Elendil the mariner was the son of the Edain lord Tuor and the elven lady Idril of Gondolin. Even these names here, Gondolin, if you've not read the Silmarillion or you're not that clued up on the First Age of Middle-earth, Gondolin, look it up. Or I'll do a video on that at some point. But they grew up in the elven haven of Arvernian. Elendil became the lord of Arvernian and married Elwing, the elven daughter of King Dior and the inheritor of the Silmaril. They had two sons, Elrond and Elros. For Elendil, whose name means sea lover, Círdan built a miraculous ship called Vingilot. While he was at sea, Arvernian was attacked and Elwing was forced to flee. Seeing no means to escape, she threw herself and the Silmaril into the sea. Ulmo, the ocean lord, a god, saved her by transforming her into a seabird and allowing her to fly to Elendil. The couple used the power and light of the Silmaril to find their way to the Undying Lands, to ask the aid of the Valar. In response, the Valar and Maiar host, along with the elves of Eldamar, came out of the Undying Lands in the War of Wrath. It ended in the great battle in which Elendil the mariner also fought. With the Silmaril bound to his brow and his magical ship given the power of flight, Elendil slew Ancalagon the Black, the greatest dragon that the world has ever known. After the end of the First Age, Elendil led the surviving Edain to the new island kingdom of Numenor. Ever after, Elendil was destined to sail Vigilot through the firmament, called the Evening Star and the Flame of the West. The Silmaril on his brow shone down from the night sky forever after. Just a little Elwing's history is tied to Elendil's. She herself was an elven princess of Doriath. Elwing the White was the beautiful daughter of King Dior and Queen Nimloth of Doriath. She was the only member of her family to survive the sacking of Menegroth by the Noldir in the year 509 of the First Age of the Sun. With her inheritance, the Silmaril, she found sanctuary in the harbour of Arvenian. There she met and married Elendil the mariner and gave birth to twin sons, Elrond and Elros. But when the Noldor learned where the Silmaril was hidden, they attacked again. Seeing no means of escape, Elwing threw herself and the Silmaril into the sea. There's a nice sort of footnote for Elwing. Because after Elendil takes his passage across the sky with the Silmaril, thereafter Elwing made her home in a tower on the northern coast of Eldamar, and each night as Elendil's ship drew near the western horizon, Elwing as a white bird flew from her tower to join her husband. That's the parentage of Elrond and Elros. And obviously Elrond and Elros at the end of the First Age are given the choice by the Valar whether they would like to have an elven fate or a human fate. Elrond, of course, chooses to be immortal. Elros chooses to be man, have the fate of man, i.e., the gift of death. He still has like a 500-year lifespan. But that's the decision the two twin brothers make. So their pedigree is unquestionable, which is something I feel kind of a struggle that the Rings of Power have overlooked, perhaps. I don't really get this belittling attitude towards Elrond. I mean, we're going to see, should they keep to the timeline, should they keep to the lore, what Elrond does, which leads to forming Rivendell Imladris, and the way he sort of looks over the line of the Dunedain, which obviously is his family line. Elrond marries Celebrian, the daughter of Galadriel and Celeborn. They have 3 children, twin sons, Elladan and Elrohir, who sadly, while they take part in the War of the Ring and have parts in that's omitted from Peter Jackson's films. And I can understand it's to introduce extra characters that have sort of support parts, is understandable to a degree. And obviously their younger sister, Elrond's daughter, Arwen. If you know anything about Lord of the Rings, you'll know who Arwen is. One of the things I always find interesting, and again gets overlooked, gets changed in Peter Jackson movies, is obviously Aragorn does not want to be king. And I don't want to make this video too much about Aragorn, but Elrond's response to discovering that Aragorn and Arwen fall in love as a father figure sets sort of the only way he'll accept Aragorn taking Arwen as his wife is if Aragorn regains the kingship and unites Arnor and Gondor. Puts everything that's gone wrong in Middle-earth with the line of their ancestry, puts it all right. Will Elrond allow Aragorn to marry Arwen? Which is why, really, it's quite a massive shift in the Peter Jackson movies that I don't want to be king. It's Aragorn pretty much spends his whole life devoted to achieving these ends. It's not because he's selfish and doesn't give a crap about Middle-earth or its fate. He is a very conscientious individual, is a heroic figure, without a doubt. He does have this desire, this love that he wants to fulfill. It's one of those things, again, where the characters that are very well established in the lore, in the show, seem to be, well, I think Men of the West summed it up well. It's like they're the husk of the character we know. Everything's been scooped out from them and they're just putting this new version inside them. Elrond's not as bad. yet. I'm continuously more getting frustrated with the portrayal of Galadriel. And I was disappointed not to have Elrond in episode 3, because it's quite an important part of the story. And it would have made a nice parallel, I think, to have Galadriel seeing like the painting of on Numenor with Elrond in, to cut to the continuation of the Elrond story. I guess we'll see what happens. Obviously, the early part of next week, I'll be doing, or we should be making a podcast for episode 3 that will be appearing on Facts of Fantasy. Check out that YouTube channel. So we'll probably be discussing some of these things more in full. I just wanted to continue this sequence I'm making, and have a discussion about Elrond, his pedigree, and the portrayal. So I've got high hopes, that they are paving a better way with Elrond than they are Galadriel. I just hope that they don't sort of do it the injustice they seem to be doing to Galadriel. We'll see. Anyway, that's Elrond for you. Pretty critical figure. Obviously plays a part in the White Council. We'll go from there. Cheers. Take care. Stay safe. See you in the next video. Goodbye.